MLS coaching carousel. Some big moves and some kind of dominoes falling. Tata Martino out in Miami.
Yeah, Tata. He is gone. Tom Bogert reporting that Tata Martino is leaving because of personal reasons. Which, man, what a catch-all. What an excuse.
There's a lot of things are personal reasons.
What a thing you can put out there that doesn't actually, identify why you're leaving. Is Tata Martino leaving because it's too hot in Miami? It could be that thing, Maybe just too much Miami. Miami is one of those places, and I've never lived there, but I imagine it's one of those places where, unless you are really settled in, it just feels like a lot. Like it's like Vegas. You can only take so much Vegas before you're like, I gotta go home. Like this is just too much. I feel like Miami might be that. There's also a possibility that, he just misses Argentina, and this is like that. Oh, it could be family things. I mean, there could be stuff we really don't know personally. It could also be that he's just over the project. And there are reports that perhaps Chris Henderson might be leaving Inter Miami as well. He's been the guy in charge of the roster and fixing all the problems that came out of Paul McDonough and the previous regime. Obviously, they were the best team in the regular season, but failed to win an MLS Cup. Maybe Tata that's just a grind. I mean, it is travel on top of travel on top of travel. And I don't know what the offseason is going to look like for Miami.
Yeah, what does that do to the roster building?
Well, there's that, but also like, what if Jorge Mas and Inter Miami are planning a world tour to capitalize on Messi? They tried to do this last year, right? They did this last year, and it resulted in a lot of problems because they went to Japan, they went to China, and he didn't play, and they had all these protests over the fact that Messi didn't see the field. Maybe Tata doesn't want to do that. Maybe he just doesn't want to travel the world with the Lionel Messi tour anymore, and I'm not sure I could blame him if that's the case. But it does mean that there is a gap now that Miami has to fill. And knowing what we know about Jorge Mas, who is the most ambitious owner in Major League Soccer, I think by about a mile and a half, it's probably going to be a big name. Like, you can't imagine Inter Miami being like, you know what, Jim Curtin did a really good job in Philadelphia. Let's bring him down here to South Florida. First of all, he'd melt in that heat, so I'm not sure that's a great idea. But I think immediately I said something like, Lionel Messi, player manager. Wouldn't that be fun? All right. Somebody else said, you know who's available? Xavi Hernandez is available. He's not coaching right now.
I mean, you got to bring back all the members of Barcelona 2012, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's keep adding to that list, get the band back together. I don't know. This is definitely interesting. And now with the news in Dallas, and I think you were going to get us there, that they have identified their next manager, Eric Quill, who was managing New Mexico United in the USL Championship, previously coached North Texas, which is FC Dallas's MLS Next Pro outfit. So he has ties to the club that go back, won that title in 2019 with North Texas SC. He's taking over. So that means we have Inter Miami now open, unexpectedly. Atlanta United still open, with Patrick Vieira off the board, taking a job at Genoa in Italy. There was thought that he might be the guy for Atlanta. Philadelphia is open with Tim Curtin's dismissal. And who am I missing? I'm missing somebody.
So open jobs, Atlanta, Miami, St. Louis, Philly.
Yeah, that's the one. St. Louis is also open. And Lutz Pfannenstiel is a wild card who could go European or American. We don't know.
So what typically is the time of the calendar where jobs fill up? I mean, are we going to see this push farther beyond the MLS Cup final? Are these things usually tied up before then? Or do they push on into December?
Yeah, well, the roster schedule of things happening around MLS begins pretty quickly in the beginning of December. Whether you need your manager, your head coach, to be heavily involved in those things, that's up to each club and sort of the structure. And again, if Chris Henderson remains in place at Inter Miami, I don't think Miami needs to rush this. Now, I don't know what the pool looks like. Again, we mentioned Xavi because he's available. He's not coaching anybody, but European leagues are happening, so there aren't that many people sort of sitting around waiting for jobs right now with the European season underway. And there may be some firings down the line, and maybe you want to wait if you're Moss. Like, let's see what happens around Christmas time. Maybe there'll be some people available in January. But again, things will happen then, too. You've got training camp pretty early in January. Inter Miami may have some off-season plans and tours and preseason events that you want to have your manager in place for. So those things are interesting. I do think we'll probably start to see some of these jobs get filled up over the next couple of weeks. I think Atlanta will probably be filled in the next couple of weeks. I don't know who that is, though. It could be Jim Curtin, which would be fascinating.
Going back to Dallas's hire, Eric Quill managed New Mexico United in USL Championship to a first place finish in the Western Conference. There isn't too many examples, or this isn't a well-trodden path, that the USL to MLS coaching, is it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Troy Lesane, also formerly of New Mexico United, but he went to Red Bull as an assistant after managing in New Mexico because he knew his path was easier to go from MLS assistant to MLS head coach than it was to go from New Mexico United USL Championship directly into an MLS job. And again, I think that you have to mention that Quill has ties to FC Dallas. They know him. They've seen what he can do with a club that they run. So this isn't the same thing as an MLS team scanning the ranks of the USL Championship and going, that guy's doing a really good job. Hire him. Like, that's not really what's happening here. We know that there are good coaches in the USL. Danny Cruz's name has been linked to the St. Louis City job. So that's a possibility. That's the Louisville City's head coach, Danny Cruz. Over the last couple of years, has turned into a very good manager and runs the best team in the USL Championship. They were the number 1 overall seed this year before getting knocked out by Rhode Island. Also, Charleston. Ben Pierman, I think he's still pretty young, but I respect the hell out of that guy. He's gone through a bunch of different steps. Michigan State, Memphis, Detroit City, obviously, as well. When he was at Michigan State as an assistant, coaching two things, because that's what you do when you're at that level. So I think there's some talent there. I really hope these guys get identified. Mark Briggs, great job in Sacramento. He's left that club. They've parted ways with him. Is he a contender for MLS jobs? I don't know. It's very. I would love to see that be more of a thing, Rob. Absolutely.
All this USL talk has me reminding of our guest on Monday, John Morsey. If you guys didn't see it, we had a deep dive into the world of USL Championship and League One, celebrating Union Omaha's League One Championship and all the comings and goings of teams in USL. And check out the Morning Kickaround YouTube channel. We're stockpiling lots of videos over there, lots of good stuff. If you're tuning in for the first time, visit us at Morning Kickaround on YouTube, and great stuff. Love having guests on the program. Follow us along, M Kickaround on X and Instagram, or if you want to write us a note, you can do so, Morning Kickaround at